Once the reserve of women, men in Singapore are facing growing pressure to have the perfect body. What do you guys think is the perfect male body?
Very buff.
Like a bit muscular lah.
Strong.
I think six packs might be good.
For arms, we need big biceps.
Someone with six-pack abs and your sort of standard cookie cutter Ryan Gosling type physique. Yeah.
Nice broad shoulders and a muscular, chest and torso, nice arms.
Hyper-masculine physiques are constantly reinforced across advertising, film, television, and social media.
As a former PE instructor, I know the importance of exercising and keeping healthy. But as Singaporean men bulk up, I wonder, is there a darker side to this trend? I need to find out.
Gyms are big business in Singapore, and gym chains are attracting huge crowds. Annual visits peaked in 2017 at 2.5 million, a 40% increase compared to 2010.
CJ is a fitness fanatic and he works out almost every day. I thought maybe I can talk to him to get some insight about the fitness industry.
Okay.
How are you, man?
Okay.
I'm good.
Have you always been in sports and fitness?
Yes, for my whole life, since I would say 14 years old.
Like what were you doing when you were younger?
I took up a leadership role, become a captain of Dragon Boat. After Dragon Boat, I was selected to national team.
Wow.
I represented Singapore and also the armed forces.
I understand that you were also doing bodybuilding at some point in time. Now, how did that happen?
So I went to a gym which is free for students, and from then on, I picked it up and become an obsession to get myself looking beautiful.
So were you always this muscular?
Not lean, skinny.
Oh.
Literally no muscles except for my legs.
Okay.
So from then on, I start to exercise and you see some improvement and you get like, man, this is what I want.
Did you want to be even more cut or more muscular? What is the feeling like?
Let's say you started a business, you're earning perhaps 10,000 a month. Do you think it's enough for you 2 years later?
Probably not.
Yeah, that's what happened to me. You just keep coming. So you see one cm of growth and you want a 2. You saw 2, you want a 4. So that's how I kept bigger and bigger.
How do you get bigger and bigger? You know what I mean? There has to be a limit at some point, right?
Yeah, there's some limit. So after a year, I saw that my body stopped changing, and that's when I met a friend, which is I would consider is my mentor. He taught me that there's something that can enhance your growth. So basically, the enhancement is called steroids.
Oh.
Yeah. So I got in touch with steroids, and that's how I got from there.
So you were actually more muscular than this at that point in time?
Yes, much more muscular.
Like how did you look?
Take a look at the picture.
So why would you want to look like this?
When you start to see perfect bodies online, and if there's a way to achieve, then why not take it?
Right now I'm not taking because I think health is more important.
Hashtag Fitspo. Hashtag Fitspiration. These hashtags have millions of posts, with men posting topless photos of themselves showing that journey to the perfect body. It's no secret, social media has redefined body standards.
You know, social media has such a big part to play in young people's lives nowadays. And I want to know exactly what the influence of social media is on young people when it comes to their body images and their confidence, and why they might actually resort to steroids in order to look good. So I'm going to speak to Kevin, who's a fitness Instagrammer, and maybe he can shed some light on this issue. Kevin makes a living from selling the perfect body image. Since he started his fitness Instagram, he's amassed a following of more than 1,000. Today, he's invited me to one of his photo shoots. What photo shoot is this for, man?
This is a test photo shoot for social media.
Oh, for your Instagram profile?
Yes.
Why did you start working out?
So you see a lot of those pictures where people, they look good, and so you thought, oh, okay, maybe I can try out and see if I can reach that kind of status.
Do you think social media has a very big influence on young people?
Definitely, because nowadays everyone almost has a smartphone, and the images on social media are all curated. So people don't show you images of themselves looking bad. They want to look good. So definitely has an effect on young people. I mean, it can make them more motivated to work out, but some others, they might take it to extremes too.
What do you mean by taking it to an extreme?
Okay, some young people might say, okay, I want to reach that state, that physique, but they are not willing to really take the time, like years to reach that. So they want to just jump into it, and they might do certain things like drugs or crash dieting and excessive working out.
So on one hand, we've got young people with a lot of access to social media. And on the other side, we've got social media personalities who exert a great influence on young people and their idea of body image. This is a growing trend, and I don't think it'll stop anytime soon. So this is my concern. Do young people get so obsessed with their bodies that they start using steroids? I did some digging and found some startling facts. This article that I'm reading states that steroid abuse is a growing problem in Singapore.
And that even teens are taking the drug to bulk up. And it's not an issue exclusive to this country. In the UK, The Guardian reported that up to 1 million people took steroids and performance-enhancing drugs in 2018 to change the way they look. This ranges from teenagers to elderly men. And in the US, the Food and Drug Administration estimates some 375,000 teenage boys in high school are reportedly abusing anabolic steroids every year. I want to know just how deep-seated this steroid culture is among gym-goers. So I'm meeting fitness entrepreneur Twain Teo and a few of his friends. They have a combined experience of over 40 years in the fitness industry.
Yeah, so I've read that steroid use on the increase in Singapore. Do you notice this happening?
Not in my gym personally, but I do hear about it in other gyms or community gyms.
So what's the motivation or the reason why people want to take steroids in the first place?
I would say it's to get the most progress in the shortest time possible.
So it's kind of like a shortcut in a way?
Yes, it's kind of like a shortcut.
Okay, so what demographic do you think are the ones who are most likely to take steroids?
It's a lot of the teens, young males, that are kind of like subjected to the perception that they have to have a certain type of body and they need to get their body fast.
Do you personally know somebody who's been taking steroids or has taken steroids before?
Yeah.
Okay, were they teenagers or?
Yeah, in fact, they were actually teenagers when they did it.
Oh wow, maybe I can have a chat with some of your guys here.
Yeah, definitely. They are much younger than I am, so they can shed more light on the subject.
Hi.
Hi.
Ray, and you are?
Clinton, nice to meet
Clinton, have you ever been approached by anyone to take steroids?
you. When I was still a rookie, I trained at public gyms, and then I think they are dealing drugs, and then some of them are actually asking me if I actually wanted some. They say that usually they start off with, hey, you look like you have potential, and do you want to go even further?
Throughout the gym, I keep hearing the same stories of steroid abuse.
Hi guys.
Hi.
Have you guys taken steroids yourself?
No.
Oh, okay. Has anyone approached you to like buy steroids? Or?
Yes, definitely.
Okay, and how does this happen? Like, you know?
I mean, I was just training in a gym one day, and then it wasn't here, it was in a community club.
How old were you when that happened?
Sec 5, so I was 17.
Okay.
I was pretty young, but I was quite big size then. And this random dude, pretty jacked, came up to me and said, like, hey dude, you look pretty big, you want to get even bigger. And ever since then, I started researching, and there were a lot more negative side effects than positives.
Okay.
So in my opinion, it's just something I wouldn't do.
From just one trip to the gym, I've discovered how common it is for people to be offered steroids. But has anyone thought about the dangers?
The doctor actually told me that he diagnosed me with your organs, your liver, your kidney has been badly affected.
I'm investigating steroid abuse among Singaporean men desperate to bulk up for that perfect body. And so far, I've discovered the use of performance-enhancing drugs to be quite common among gym-goers. And this worries me.
Depending on your body type, it can take from a few months to a few years to go from average to buff. But apparently, steroids can speed up this process.
So what exactly are steroids? There are two main types. The first is called corticosteroids. and it helps to treat conditions that cause irritation and swelling like eczema or arthritis. The second type is called Anabolic Steroids, and these are the drugs some gym users are taking. Anabolic steroids can either be ingested via pills or injected by needles. They are synthetic variations of the male sex hormone testosterone. These steroids help to increase the rate in which muscles develop by raising the protein synthesis in the body. Steroid users can bulk up in a fraction of the time it takes non-users. How does steroid abuse affect our body? I've arranged to meet endocrinologist Dr. Ben Ng. In his 18 years of practice, he's seen hundreds of patients who have abused steroids.
What kind of side effects are we looking at when you abuse steroids?
These high steroids affect your mood. As you know, testosterone can make you more aggressive. Extremely high doses can cause depression, increased aggression, assertiveness, and so forth. So this can affect somebody's mood and their tolerance. In line with that, you can imagine testosterone affect your muscles. The thing about it is that what we don't notice many times is the heart's a muscle too. And if you have increased muscles everywhere else, it's not out of the realms of imagination to imagine that the heart muscles can get diseased as well. And when it gets very, very big or very abnormal, you get irregular heart rhythms. And this is why we see many kind of people, athletes suddenly dying, the ones who abuse steroids, because there's an irregular heart rhythm or the muscles is badly diseased in the heart. On top of that, you get increased blood thickness. When your blood count goes up, your blood's more likely to clot because it's thicker. A lot of the medications and hormones that you inject and you take needs to be metabolized. It's more than what you normally want. So because of that, the liver is responsible for doing most of the work. So if you give it too much work to do, ultimately your liver can fail, it can get diseased and so forth. And this is one of the other problems that we have. You can get infertility. We talked about testicular atrophy or shrinkage of the testes. And this is by far the most common side effect that we find.
And have you actually had patients who have after effects and come to you?
Unfortunately, more common than I like to admit. Mm-hmm. They come to us trying to look for solutions. And the problem is it's not always reversible.
It's quite horrifying to know the long list of side effects when you abuse steroids. And with steroid abusers getting younger and the cases more rampant, this is just a ticking time bomb.
It took me a few weeks to finally convince Shashi Kumar to share his story. Shashi started taking steroids when he was just 17.
What started you on steroids?
When I was 17, I was very skinny. I weigh around 55 kg. I started going to the gym. Mm-hmm. I worked out. I ate so much. And then I felt that, hey, I'm not getting it. Mm-hmm. Why other people, they can get so fast, their muscle mass, they look so good, they look so fit.
Okay.
Why I don't look like them?
How did you get introduced to steroids?
And that's when I was actually working out in the gym.
Yeah.
And then one of my friends who also used to look like me,
yeah,
he came and then he said, you know what, I will just give you something which is more effective. Mm-hmm. Rather than you are trying so hard, having some protein and all, you're eating, but you're not getting it.
Yeah.
Try this. I'm definitely sure you'll come back for more. Then I said, okay, because I was desperate.
Yeah.
To look good. I only had like 100 reps at that point of time. Mm-hmm. 2 taps a day.
So that would have lasted you maybe about a month or a month plus. Yeah.
A month. And then I felt that, you know what, I like the feeling. Mm-hmm. I felt the adrenaline rush. And then this time we were going for 5 taps a day. So we are increasing the mg level. Mm-hmm. I bought almost 500 taps.
At one go?
At one go.
So 5 was the maximum or?
5 is the maximum. Okay. Not more than that.
Yeah.
I think out of greediness, I went to 10 taps a day.
Wow.
10 taps was insane. I would be slamming on weights.
Do you have any before and after pictures?
So this is the second phase, I would say.
Yeah.
Where I was already on roids.
Yeah.
This is where the 5 tablet was going.
Oh, so this is the 5 tablets. Wow, you look like a lean, like an MMA fighter.
10 taps a day actually brought me to this.
Wow, so this way your muscles actually look like you're bigger in size.
I felt like a balloon. At this point of time,
yeah,
I felt that, okay, I'm already reaching my goal already.
Yeah.
At my 70 kg. So I am going to keep going first. I'm going to put more weight and then I'll go for the cut. So this actually started affecting my back, my kidney area and my liver side where I felt pain. Every day when I wake up in the morning, I felt pain. I started having so much of temper. I had so much of anger. To the point that I collapsed. I didn't know what happened. I was rushed down to the hospital where the doctor actually told me that you are admitted, you collapsed. Are you aware of why you are over here? I said, I don't know, I think I worked out too much.
Yeah.
The doctor actually told me that your organs, your liver, your kidney has been badly affected. We believe under the blood test, you have steroids in your body. They say that I cannot go back to gym that easily. I might even shut down my liver.
And all this happened in the span of how many years? Like, were you 17 when you started?
17 I started. At around 19,
yeah.
When I'm going to go 20 years old,
yeah.
That's when this all happened.
Wow, in 2 years?
2 years.
Shasi's story has struck a chord with me. As a former PE teacher, I've dealt with many teen boys struggling with issues of self-image. But for me, the worst part is hearing how accessible these drugs are to kids today.
How does this work in the gym? Like, people approach you to buy?
I've discovered that steroid abuse is a growing problem among young men in Singapore, and I believe it's connected to the ease of buying the drugs.
I've managed to get a contact of someone who sells steroids.
He only sells it to friends and contacts he trusts, so hopefully I can get some answers from him. But the dealer wants to remain anonymous.
How does this work in the gym? Like, people approach you to buy, or?
Well, usually it's friends of friends. They just come and they drop me a text and then they let me know that they are coming. So I'll just meet them outside the gym and then that's where we deal.
And where does your supply come from?
I have a friend who gets them online, so I get my supply from them.
Is this whole business legal?
Well, it's not illegal. That's all I can say.
Turns out the dealer is misinformed. It is actually illegal to sell steroids in Singapore. Anabolic steroids are prescription-only medicines, and it's illegal to sell or supply them without a license. Anyone convicted of the illegal sale of these medicines could be fined up to $50,000 and jailed for up to 2 years.
The crazy part of this investigation is discovering you don't even need to find a dealer. I found that with a few clicks, you can easily get your hands on steroids.
I found these websites while searching for steroid sellers. They're based overseas, but a customer service rep assured me that I would have no problem shipping it to Singapore.
Well, that's convenient. No wonder people are tempted. Considering the dangers associated with these drugs, I think it's time the authorities crack down on these sites.
I've emailed the Health Sciences Authority to find out their take on these websites. In response, the HSA says consumers need to be aware of the risk of buying steroids from dubious sources such as overseas websites, discussion forums, or social media platforms. Drugs obtained from these sources may be of poor quality or even contaminated with other potent ingredients. So purchasing steroids online? I don't think it's worth the risk.
Basically, the enhancement is caused.
Earlier, I met CJ, who told me he started using steroids when he was 28. He was on the drug for 2 to 3 years. He quit about 2.5 years ago. I want to know if the steroid abuse has had any lasting impact on his health. So I asked him to meet endocrinologist Dr. Ben Ng.
So I have to confess, a few years ago, because of bodybuilding competitions, I actually took steroids. So it's been about 2.5 years. Right now, I hope to get my body checked and to make sure that it's healthy and clean enough for me to start a family with my wife.
Rest assured, this is not something uncommon. Many people come to me with this problem. Now, I think it's very important that we run a series of tests, and then what we'll do, we need to draw some blood, check your body composition, do a few scans and all that, and we really try and analyze whether these steroids have affected you or not.
Okay.
Okay?
Dr. Ben does multiple tests on CJ, drawing some blood to check his testosterone levels, ultrasound of the abdomen, and a body composition analysis. After a few hours, his results are in.
Hi, Ben. Hi, CJ.
Hi Ray, how are you?
Good. Just came to check out what you have to say about CJ's results.
Yes, we were just having a chat here and I was explaining to CJ, and overall I think he's not doing too badly. However, there's several things that we need to discuss, and we're just in the process of doing that when you walk in. The most blatant thing you can see from his blood test is his testosterone levels, which is the male hormone levels. If you can see on the report here, the testosterone levels are extremely low. His being 5.15, the normal range being 8.7 to 27.85. Now, essentially what this means is the high amount of testosterone that CJ has been using for the last few years has suppressed his own ability to come out with testosterone. The human body is essentially lazy. When exposed to high amounts of particular hormone, it tends to shut down.
Abnormally low levels of the male sex hormone testosterone could mean fertility problems for CJ. Can this be reversed?
I think a lot of it depends on the type of testosterone that's been used, the duration of the testosterone, and also the dose involved, and it does have some individual variation. We've been just talking about potential lifestyle changes that we can do to increase exercise, different kind of diets and so forth, and we're starting treatments for him, and hopefully with any luck we should see some results in the next few months.
Well, that's good news then. Thanks a lot, Dr. Ben.
You're welcome.
I really want to start a family, and I'm taking Dr. Ben's advice to start treatment. The important thing is to stay healthy the natural way.
I was just thinking about it while I was working out. From what I found out, steroid abuse is on the rise in Singapore, especially among young people who want to look good. Now, unless medically cleared, we shouldn't be messing around with steroids. So it's important that we educate ourselves about what we're putting in our body, because in the effort to try and look perfect on the outside, we end up destroying what's on the inside.